Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing here?
Good.
Great, good, fantastic. Welcome to Miracle Center for Spiritual Living. We're at 2653 South Taylor Road in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And brought to you from Centers for Spiritual Living, 2026 global theme is Open at the Top. August 16, 2026, order of service. Our monthly theme is the fear and the furious. And our weekly topic title is In the Presence of Fear. Our prelude was done by Christopher this morning, which was very nice. I didn't know you could play like that. And I just want to welcome everybody to this house of God. Our invocation this morning, so if you would, just take a meditative state, rest your feet on the floor, take a nice cleansing breath. Infinite Spirit, in whom we live, move, and have our being, we acknowledge the presence and power of God that's right here with us today. God is everywhere. God is in us. God is through us. God is in this building. God is on Zoom, bringing to us people from far, far away. And we know that we are blessed. Each and every person that's working on this service is blessed. And most of all, our message being brought to us today by Reverend June Clark. And I just give thanks for this day, knowing that all is well. And if you're in agreement with me, you can say with me, and so it is. Amen and amen. Arc dimension, collective inner. Okay, we have a contemplative question. What if fear isn't the enemy, but a guidepost towards deeper understanding? Fear is often seen as a threat to peace, but what if it's a teacher? This week we explore, what if fear isn't the enemy, but a guidepost towards deeper understanding? Affirmation. I meet fear with curiosity, compassion, and courage. And our Science of Mind point of view is, but what is fear? Nothing more nor less than a negative use of faith. Faith misplaced by Ernest Holmes and from the Science of Mind. Let me say that again. But what is fear? Nothing more nor less than a negative use of faith. Faith misplaced. Holmes, Ernest, Science of Mind, page 156. From the Science of Mind perspective, this statement invites us to recognize that fear is not rooted in external circumstances, but in the creative power of our own beliefs. Let's say that again, too. From the Science of Mind perspective, this statement invites us to recognize that fear is not rooted in external circumstances, but in the creative power of our own beliefs. Our experience of fear arises not from an outer event, but from the meaning and reality we assign the event in consciousness. When we shift our attention from the fearful appearance to the truth of our spiritual nature, we reclaim our innate power. Science of Mind teaches thoughts and beliefs create our reality. Therefore, by consciously choosing faith, love, and alignment with the infinite, we dissolve the seeming power of fear and affirm our connection to the divine presence within. In this way, fear becomes a pointer, revealing where we have placed our faith in restriction rather than impossibility. At this point, we are invited to gently return to spiritual truth. Are we experiencing restlessness? Stay. Discursive mind? Stay. Are we fear and loathing out of control? Stay. Aching knees and throbbing back? Stay. What's for lunch? Stay. What am I doing here? Stay. I can't stand this another minute. Stay. That's how to cultivate steadfastness. It's a wonderful saying, some wonderful statements. And so it is.
And so it is.
And now we're going to have a musical piece.
Nice way to start the morning. You ought to be sitting on my shoulder sometime, just searching for the right song for a Sunday morning. And I hit that one. I said, like that one. We even had a commercial visitor. I guess he likes it pretty much too. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, I kind of sort of be glad, well, I don't speak next week. Reverend Teresa speaks next week. But the fear thing, the word fear, I was taught that whatever you focus on comes about. So I have been focusing as much as I can upon the absence of fear, because I don't want to be afraid of anything, because it doesn't make good sense. But there's a lot of things I do that don't make good sense. So I guess fear would be just up there with the rest of them. So I wanted so much to get this first line in the message here this morning says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." And that's Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers from their book and their video, The Power of Myth. And within that, you may have heard it before. I think I have shown it before. It's been quite some time. But there is a symbolism of the cave. And it goes back a ways to Plato, who's a Greek philosopher at the time of his lifespan, which was, I believe, before Christ. And the visual of the cave is, I'll try and describe it so that it fits and that it works. There are men who are taken down into a cave, to the bottom of this cave, or the back of the cave. And they are put behind a bar, wooden bar, so to speak, and each has a space. And they each have shackles, not on their feet, but on their hands that connect them together. And they are in that cave for quite some time. We'll just say they're in the cave for 5 years, just to use an example. And then someone comes into the cave. The cave is very dark. And they bring a candle. And with the candle and the wall that is in front of these men that are people that have the shackles that are standing across looking at this wall, they see other people. They think they see other people standing in the same position they are standing. They can't tell that they're shackled, but they can see these figures because of the light that the candle is throwing off. They do not communicate. They just look at this figure. So after a couple years, someone comes in and they loose the shackles. They take their shackles away. all problems solved, nothing that they need to stay there for. Do they stay or do they go? They stay. They stay because they can still see the shadows across from them. They don't know who they are. They don't know if they can save them from their fear. And then someone, according to the imagery on the video, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't exactly remember how this all works out, but someone comes, lets them know they are free, and they still are afraid to walk out of the cave. And so this is 2026 rendition of the cave. I think Plato is probably standing over there somewhere saying, that's not the right way to say it, but I'm going to say it my way. The sense that happens is they are still afraid until the candle is blown out, and what they can see is no longer the people that supposedly were across from them, but to recognize that they could have walked out at any point in time because they are the only ones there. So that's my interpretation. If you go on the internet and you find the cave and Plato, you can read it through, but it's the same premise. It's what happens when there is fear. And what we do to ourselves, in the way that I explained it, is we are here. We know we're here. And there's an awful lot out there that we might modernize it and say, there's so much stuff that's going on that we don't understand what it is. So I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to let these shackles of the mind be the shackles of our wrists, the shackles of our feet, the shackles of where do I go next? Because there's nowhere to go. I don't know what it is that is holding me back. There must be something out there that I cannot see, that I cannot figure out. I don't know what it is, and I'm going to stay right here, infinitum, until I know. And until you know, until you decide that, oh my goodness, I took that step out one day when I was out there free, and I went into a Science of Mind church, and somebody was standing in front of me. I know there was someone in front of me, and I was sitting right there in that church, and they said, there is no thing, nothing to fear. So why did I stay in that smelly old cave doing what I ought to do, I thought, for a long, long time? Maybe today is the day that I just sit myself down and I look at the wall, and there's nothing there except the wall. There's nothing, no thing, nothing to see, nothing to fear. Could it have been fear? Nah, I'm not afraid of anything. But something kept me from doing what I know I should have done a long time ago.
Amen.
Pardon me?
I said amen.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to be seen.
So the presence of all kinds of stuff is in our minds. Do we see it? Sometimes we don't see it at all, because even if you're looking at the TV and there's an astound, supposedly, person that is speaking from the podium through the television to us, they really don't know what they're talking about, credentials and all. So why are we afraid of some things and some people and what they say, and not smart enough to figure out, if I can see that and I can hear it, and if I have the guts, so to speak, to just talk to myself, to get up and pick up the phone and call a religious science practitioner, or maybe I'm not religious science, so maybe I'm Jewish, and they have a system where you can either go and visit your temple, or you can call someone else to talk to, because you just can't figure out why you're so afraid of a lot of things. And I would bet my neck, literally this neck, that no matter what faith you are, whatever church you go to, maybe you don't go to a church at all, that if you looked at FEAR in the face, you know it is not REAL. It is not real. It can't be real. There is nothing to be afraid of. I was thinking about last week, I used the word no thing. And it showed up on something I was watching on TV. And I thought to myself, I wonder if your words and your thoughts moved out of this nice beige room, down the hallway, opened the door, and went out into the universe. Right there, I said, oh my goodness, how powerful I am. I said no thing, and somebody's using it on TV. It's really not true. I know you understand that. But think about what we do, what is so important to us, that we don't let it go. And we're afraid of it. And we don't let it go. Oh, I'm afraid if I go to church too much, well, maybe that's not a good one to choose. But it seems to be for some people. Lately, maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the summer. Maybe it's just that they're in a certain cave and they're looking at something through their own awareness, through their own eyes, that is clouding their judgment about their life, is closing out anything that appears to be positive, because all they do is fear everything. I don't know. I referred to going to church, which is maybe not fair, because we all come as we choose to come, or circumstances, whatever. But think about, I guess I can share now that I'm feeling better. It's been one of those weeks where, over here, seemed like this morning it was double. Now, what's going to happen if I don't go to church? Well, I got the papers there. Well, Jerry's sure to be there. Well, Laverne's the reader. Well, somebody's going to be there. Because my main minister for my teaching, Reverend Mary Louise Ruffner, said, where one or more are gathered. And that was one of our slogans that we had painted on the wall. And I said, okay, June, the is, what are they to be afraid of? You're a bigger girl than that. You can go to church. You can get through at least an hour. And I'm feeling just fine. So I just want to personalize sometimes the silliness of our own mind, like the people in the cave. What are you afraid of? What does fear do to you like nothing else can do? And fear is not even real. It's a no thing. It's nothing. Jerry was reading in the bulletin reference here as we started this morning, and it was something that maybe it was this one, the science of mind point of view. But what is fear? Nothing more nor less than the negative use of faith. Faith misplaced. And further in the reading here, there was a word called, oh, okay, it's a C word. I looked in the dictionary, in the back of the book here to find out. Compassion. Compassion. About us having compassion. And I looked in the textbook, little glossary back here, and I don't have my full concordance, but the word is not there. But in my thinking, compassion. We have compassion for others who are fearful, and we can sit down usually, especially family members, since we're all practitioners, licensed or unlicensed. If someone comes to you and they are speaking of something in their life that is just out of sync, and they fear it, and you can listen, which is the best thing to do, is truly listen without any judgment. And perhaps whether you think you're a practitioner or not, you are, if you are able to give solace to a person who is suffering because they think there's something to fear. And I don't know what you might say, because each of us might say something different. But fear is not real. Fear is this mythical use of the power people think that they can control your heart and your thinking. Evidence appearing real. Backwards. Fear. Backwards. Evidence appearing real. So when you fear something deep enough within you, my thought might be for myself is to just stop. Stop. And just breathe. And in order to breathe, your brain has to tell you to breathe, which means you're alive, you're awake. And then when you take a nice breath and you hold it in, and you can hold it in and hold it in like a 2.5-year-old, because they think they've got control and that they can get you so upset, even if their face turns blue. But involuntarily, you're going to breathe. You are going to breathe at some point, because you have no control over your system, so to speak. So fear is like that. If you sit down, relax, continue to breathe, maybe you won't realize the answer, but maybe you'll feel better just because you stopped and thought about it. You may feel this exhale of release, just an exhale of release. And then you might relax. I say might. And you might think, what am I doing here? That's in your reading. What am I doing here? And then there's the word stay. I can't stand this for another minute. And then there's the word stay. This is how to cultivate steadfastness. I've said it many times, I'm a jumper. An idea comes up, there I go. If I had stayed, we don't know because it didn't stay, I jumped. But I also know that being a jumping jack, did you ever have jumping beans when you were a kid? I know I'm dating myself, but did you ever have jumping beans? Don't be like a jumping bean. Don't have something and look at it, and as you're looking at it, it flips and goes another way. And then another bean flips and goes away. If you never had any, you don't know what I'm talking about. But stay with your best self. Stay within your heart. Stay within what's in your truth, in your mind. And just relax. Let your shoulders down. Don't be like the driver that's behind you and is so persistent and in such a hurry that they pull out from around you and there's a car over here that wants to go, but it's not going. But this car behind that car whips around and either gets smashed car to car or they have to pull out and go a different way. Stay with your heart. Stay with what you know. Stay with what is within you because it is all God. It's all perfect. It may appear that you missed something, and probably what you missed was getting a crack in your head. So, in talking about fear, it's was one of those four-letter words, and we know, I know some four-letter words that are a lot more serious than that I used to get soap in my mouth for saying sometime. So stop. Before you get snow in your mouth, get soap in your mouth, just in your brain, in your beingness, in what you plan to do. Just stop and slow down and breathe. And you know that I am the I am. I am one with God. And God cannot have fear because there is nothing within God that is worth fearing about because it does not exist. So sometime, if being in the presence of fear is not a spiritual future for you, that's wonderful. It's wonderful. And the next reference to that is, as a rule, whatever is fluid, soft and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. Whatever is soft will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. Who are you most rigid with? Who are you most hard on? Who are you most soft with? What does that softness get you? If you are in a discussion with someone and your opinion is so deep embedded within you, and the other person or two or three, whatever the group is, their opinion is so embedded within them, what happens? Jaws get tight. Nobody can relax. Nobody can lower their shoulders. The best thing to do is, okay, I'll see you later. Okay, I'll see you later. Let it go. What are we so afraid of that it's hard for us to let go of something we really don't quite understand, so we take the hard stance? or something that we don't quite understand, that we just get so blah and loose about it that we let that go too. There's a middle of the road. There's a line down most roads. And if you cross that line, if you're driving, or you cross that line if you're walking, or if you cross that line when you're working with your mind within you, as you're straddling that line, my judgment is that nothing gets accomplished because there is no satisfaction, there is no peace, there is no room to create anything else because you're so tied to my way or the highway, literally. And in our faith, in our religious science philosophy, it's a philosophy. It's like Plato. It takes some time to read it, even though it's ancient writings. This person who was Plato wrote down things that people in his era, in his surroundings, probably looked at him side-eyed from both sides. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. And some of the stuff I read of ancient times, even religious science that I read, I don't always understand it. But I give it a chance. I just don't throw it out with baby with the bathwater. I give it a chance. I slow down and I think. I've got this mind, and it's the mind of Christ. It's the I am. It has to be perfect. Everything within it that I think has to be perfect. So therefore, just let the shoulders down. Let the shoulders go down. This is another ancient philosopher, and it's written in your bulletin. Water is fluid, soft and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid, soft, and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. This is another paradox. What is soft is strong. Lao Tzu, that's how you pronounce his name, has the Tao Ting Ching, the Tao, T-A-O. If you find a book, I have a couple explanatory little thin books about the Tao, and that is his truth. It is what he thinks of very simple things, very simple sentences. And they're amazing if you take them and read them and pick them apart and understand them to today's modern world. So Lao Tzu, in this particular book, chapter 78, is from Stephen Mitchell. It's from his translation, Harper Row, 1988, page 80. If you happen to be in an old bookstore and you see a book with that title and you still have your bulletin, look it up. Maybe pick it up for 10 cents. Pick up the book for 10 cents. And it's another look at, actually it's another look at today. It's another look at the television. It's another look at the ministry, wherever you go to church, wherever you pick up the Bible, whatever you think is a positive thought pattern. Look at some of the other ancient philosophers, some of the Hebrew writings, and you might say, or you may not, I don't understand that other stuff. You have to, because it is written by someone, maybe the Christ, maybe, and I don't mean to sound not religious or doubting things, but how many writings are there of the Bible? How many new kinds of Bible do we have now? And even the, not even, but the St. James or the King James is different than, oh, there's so many with different titles. Which one are you going to believe? Read them all if you want to and then interpret it for yourself. So be the soft one or look toward the soft one. And when you fear something, go toward it. You know, they put people on TV that are heroes. And, you know, we had our lovely, for me, a shero here. There's been a lot of heroes here with this church that are not with us in sight. They're soft, though, and we can talk to them. We can visualize them. We can love them. We can bring them forth into our hearts. And they're soft, and they can take our heart and our thoughts and make them pliable. And we soften, and we drop our shoulders, and we maybe wake up on a Sunday morning, gee, I haven't been to church in quite a while. I think it's a good idea to go. Maybe I got upset about something, and I haven't been. Maybe it's a time to get soft and go. So think about what we're thinking about. Don't let what are thinking about become a 4-letter word that if you reverse the letters, put them backwards, it's real. Is fear real? No. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. It's real. It's real. Not that fear is real, but turn it around. And it is what is real, and that is the truth of whatever is going on with you. Just stop, breathe. You don't need someone else's opinion. Most of us are smart enough most of the time to know what we want and know what we're going to do, and we do it anyway, no matter what anybody else says. So be in pride with that knowledge of your own inner mind, your own faith, your own truth, and do what you feel is good for you, what works for you, what is who you are. We honor fear by listening without giving it the wheel. We don't allow control of our beingness to be controlled by anything or anyone. And the best thought I could have about somebody having control is when I always had 4 children. Blessed, they're now all 4 adults. But just let it be that they're all crying at the same time when they were little. They had control. Whatever I could do to turn off the noise. And isn't that the way with some stuff in your life? I hear you. I know what you're saying. But I'm going to be hard. I'm going to put on my big girl pants and I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So the softer side says, okay, I'll get out of the way. I'll let you do what you're going to do. And you go ahead and do what you're going to do. Just don't beat yourself up, please, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work out. You see, how many years old am I? How many things have I had work out exactly the way I thought they ought to go? Well, really quite a few. But how many things haven't? Do I have scars? Yes, but they're usually because I couldn't skate. stand up on skates and fall down. They're man-made. But for our spiritual growth, we grow some, we go back some, but you can't go back to what was. So from that growing period, you learn something. So you try something different, you do something different. You wake up to the fact that maybe I'm really doing the best I can. And if you do the very best you can at the moment, your soft side sighs and your shoulders come down and your life is good. You see the sunshine. This morning, my blinds were closed and I said, oh goodness, it's a gray day. I opened the blinds. It was so sunny. It was the attitude that the blinds were at. It was sunny. It was beautiful. So open yourself to take off the shackles of what you think is holding you in a vision of life that you don't really want, that is not comfortable, that is seemingly perpetual and is being perpetuated by you. Be the soft one. Be the kind one, not just to yourself, because when you are, it shows up how you are to others. When you are not, it shows up how you are to others. So choose the words, some of the words from this bulletin, any one of them. We honor fear by listening without giving it the wheel. Don't go around angry and pouting all the time. I used to think pouting got me somewhere. Just got boring. And all of a sudden I had to give in and act like I understood that I had a brain and I made sense. And I left the pouting behind because it didn't change anything. So the next section here, there's two more. Fear depends on our capacity for compassion. And I wanted to look up the meaning of compassion, and it wasn't in the book, and I got to doing other things, and I never did look at the dictionary, so to speak, meaning. But my feeling is having compassion is just understanding. If you understand yourself, you're apt to, will do, have compassion for someone else. And it's good. You can't always fix yourself because you're not in that safe space of knowing that you're God. But when you have compassion for others, you open your heart. The other day I fished in my wallet while I was at a light and I couldn't find the wallet that I needed. I couldn't find the money I needed. And I said, I'll give this lady $1. That was me. I'll give this lady $1. And I'm sitting and looking at the light and I'm feeling like this. And I pulled up a bill and it was a $5 bill. Ha ha! There you are, ma'am. See, I was thinking $1. The $5 bill came up. Softest was not me standing out there on the corner asking for someone to have compassion on me. So I did it. Do I do it every time I see someone on a corner? No. But that time I felt good about it. So fear invites creative growth. For that few minutes, I had creative growth in my heart, in my compassion with someone. So the creative growth, I skipped over, fear deepens our capacity for compassion. Those two work together. All the words in this bulletin I felt very positive about. Us reading through, thinking through, and seeing what we can do to enlighten our lives and lessen our burdens. And Laverne has a reading for you, and then we have a song that is called Something About Me. And it's quite a lovely song.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In meditation, we discover our inherent restlessness. Sometimes we get up, leave, and leave. Sometimes we sit there, but our bodies wiggle and squirm and our minds go far away. This can be so uncomfortable that we feel it's impossible to stay. Yet this feeling can teach us not just about ourselves, but what it is to be human. All of us derive security and comfort from the imaginary world of memories and fantasies and plans. We really don't want to stay with the nakedness of our present experience. It goes against the grain to stay present. These are the times when only gentleness and a sense of humor can give us the strength to settle down. So, whenever we wander off, we gently encourage ourselves to stay and settle down. Pema Chodron, The Places That Scare You, A Guide to Fearlessness in Difficult Times. Notice one area in your life where fear is holding you back rather than trying to eliminate it. Experiment with small, courageous actions alongside it. Maybe it's having a vulnerable conversation, trying something new, or setting a boundary. Trust that you don't need to be fearless to move forward, just willing. That with which you mentally identify yourself sets up an image of thought in your consciousness, which tends to attract the situations with which you are mentally identified. And that's from Ernest Holmes, This Thing Called You. It was never intended that we should go through life filled with fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Ernest Holmes, Living the Science of Mind, page 376. I cannot help but believe that the divine mind, which certainly is present everywhere, is free from all fear. There is nothing for God to be afraid of. And if we can and do tune in to the thoughts of others, and if they can affect us, as they most certainly do, why shouldn't we learn to tune in to the mind of God, which is free from fear and doubt? Ernest Holmes. There is but one mind and one law, which all people use, consciously, unconsciously, constructively, or destructively. One spirit, one mind, one law, one substance, but many forms. And that's Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, page 133. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Which starts the music. This song is about me, Emmy, which is the Emmy of each and every one of us. In all the words that have been spoken this morning, if you think with your heart, as I close with the Science of Mind treatment, the prayer, maybe just start with, I celebrate me. And know that we are such beautiful expressions, divine expressions of the One. Whatever our story is that has been, that is now, that is yet to be, is perfect. It's divine. It's ours. Think about the me of you. and know how beautiful and wonderful we are. We give and we give and we take and we take and we balance the unbalanced. We accept the truth that we are simply God expressing the oneness, the allness, the glory, the peace, the harmony, the love. We take it all and we stay within the goodness and the glory of God. And together we say, and so it is. So Laverne's going to take collection, or did you already? Thank you. So that concludes our morning right on time. Don't leave before you tithe, but then you may go on your way. Social halls, as always, is open for us. And I bless you, and I didn't mean to say that as if it was a joke about our collection, but I do bless you all, bless all that we give, all that we are, all that we have, and all that we are able to do. So I have blessed you. So thank you very much.
We just give thanks for this time that we've had together. We give thanks for the wonderful, wonderful music, for the wonderful, wonderful words about fear from Reverend June. And no, there is nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. And as we go from this wonderful place, we know that we are blessed in this coming week. And I just release this into the ether, knowing that it's so. And if you agree with me, you can say with me, and so it is, and so let it be. And for the announcements today, practitioners are available for personal prayer and assistance after church Sunday mornings. Prayer request forms are on the backs of the chairs in the sanctuary, and there's some up here in the front. And you also may email your requests to us Miracle Center using the email address below. And remember our members and friends in prayer. Our chair exercise class is on Wednesdays. It goes from 11 to 12. Our instructor, Daphne Hill, is wear comfortable clothing and shoes. And the donation is just $5 for each class. And we have a good time. She plays beautiful, beautiful music. And we just have a good time in that class, stretching, bending, holding on to the chair sometime for dear life. Richard Living Bookstore. I think it's going to be open again today after service. You can go back there and look for books that you may like to put into your collection. And we did have a few cookbooks left over from our cookbook sale. So you can get one of those while they last. I have a recipe that I use. Well, I got a couple recipes in there. Two out of the three that I put in there, I use just about all the time. For the gluten-free bread and for the tuna and the tuna salad. I use those all the time. Every time I think about the tuna salad, I said, I do actually use a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that, than what I put in the book. Anyway, it just gives you a great start. And now if you would come to the middle, we're going to do our peace sign, go across the hall, eat a piece of cake, and be on our way.